Hi, friends. Welcome to Mama's YouTube channel. Today's book is a really unique book. Today's book is a shadow book. Have you ever heard of a shadow book? I haven't heard of one until just recently, and as soon as I heard it, I knew I had to give it a try. Now, this is so much fun to do at nighttime, or if you're even in just a dark room somewhere in your house. Now, what you do with a shadow book is you don't actually read the pages like you would a normal book. You take a flashlight and you shine it through the pages onto a wall or the ceiling, and then you get to look at the images. And then you can either narrate the story or you can listen to the story on an audiobook while you're looking at the images. Now, this particular story we're going to read today is by Shadow Play, and it's called Puss in Boots. And the story is inspired by the fairy tale of Charles Perrault. And the creator of this book is Natalia Andreeva, and the illustrator is Mikhail Boykov. Now, you can check out other books that are by this company, and I'll give links in the description box below. They have a lot of different choices for you to choose from if you want to do a different story than this one. All right, let's get to the fun. How about it? Are you excited? Once upon a time, there lived a miller who had 3 sons. When the miller died, the only inheritance that he left to his sons were his scarce possessions: a mill, a donkey, and a cat. The elder son got the mill, the second son got the donkey, and the younger son was left with the cat. A bequest that's just right for you, laughed the elder brothers, who never would miss a chance to make fun of the youngest. Do not be concerned, my good master, mewed the cat. I am no mill, and I am no donkey, but neither am I just an ordinary cat. I cannot grind the grain like a mill, or carry heavy weights like a donkey, but I've got the smarts aplenty. If you will but give me a bag and have a pair of boots made for me, then soon you shall live a life that you've never even dreamed of. The master was surprised, but he did just as the cat asked. The cat pulled on the boots, put some oat into the bag, slung the bag about his neck, and went out hunting. In the forest, he found a place where there was an abundance of rabbits, opened the bag, threw it on the ground, and hid himself in the bushes. He did not have to wait long. Curious, some young rabbits hopped up to the bag, sniffed it, and jumped inside to treat themselves to the oat, just as the cat had expected. He leaped out of the bushes, pulled the strings, closing the bag, and set out with it to the palace. One must say that the king was a big eater who loved a good meal. Not less than food, he was fond of money. Nothing gave him such joy as a grilled hen or a clinker. The cat made a low bow and said to the king, Your Majesty, I have brought you this modest gift from my noble master as a token of his deepest respect. How generous of him! What is the name of your master? The Marquis of Carabas, Your Majesty. The cat quickly invented the name. Tell your master that I thank him and that I am very pleased with his gift. The cat bowed again and took off back home to his master. From that day on, for several months, he continued to take game to his majesty on behalf of the Marquis of Carabas. Rabbits and quail that he caught in the forest, and his master had no idea of the cat's exploits. Oh, what an honorable man the Marquis of Carabas is, the king would say in delight. Indeed he is, Your Majesty, the cat would nod. Quite honorable and quite rich. The daughter of the king, the beautiful princess, was also quite curious about the mysterious Marquis. I wish I could meet your master, she said to the cat. The cat looked at the princess and thought, Now here's a wonderful wife for my master. Oh, that we can arrange, Your Highness, exclaimed the cat. Tomorrow you can find him taking his walk by the river. He goes there every day as he believes that there's no better place to resign himself to quiet meditation. Father, we must pay a visit to the Marquis of Carabas, the princess begged of the king. The king nodded his consent, and the cat rushed home to the miller's son in all haste. "Tomorrow, my master, your fortune will be made. All you must do is bathe yourself in the river." I've never heard of fortunes being made simply by bathing in a river, but I don't mind having a swim. Next morning, the miller's son, accompanied by the cat, went to the river. As soon as the master was in the water, the cat grabbed all his clothes and hid it in the bushes. That instant, the royal carriage appeared on the road. The cat jumped into the road and yelled at the top of his lungs, "Help! Help! The Marquis of Carabas is drowning!" The king heard his yelling and commanded his coachman to stop. "Hurry, father, we must help him!" exclaimed the princess as she looked out of the carriage. "Hey, guardsmen, pull the Marquis immediately out of the water," commanded the king. The miller's son had the fright of his life when two big fellows started drawing him out of the water when he was enjoying the warm water. The king's servants searched every bush on the shore but failed to find the young man's clothes. The king commanded them to run and fetch his silk suit for the Lord Marquis of Carabas. The miller's son refused at first, but he rather liked the magnificent suit embroidered with gold, so he gladly put on the royal dress. "After you, Marquis," said the king, inviting the young man to enter the carriage where the beautiful princess was waiting and join them on their drive. The poor miller's son was stunned at such a great honor, but he needed no persuasion to climb into the carriage. They rode on past meadows and fields that belonged to a wealthy ogre that lived nearby. Meanwhile, the cat ran on ahead, quite overjoyed to see how his project was succeeding. On his way, he met some countrymen who were mowing a meadow. "My good fellows," he addressed them gallantly, "the king will soon be driving past the meadow you are mowing in his carriage. If you do not tell him that the meadow belongs to my Lord Marquis of Carabas, you shall be chopped up like mincemeat." The mowers barely had time to get surprised when the king's carriage approached. "Tell me, my fellows, whose meadow are you mowing?" The king did not fail to ask them. "It belongs to my Lord Marquis of Carabas," they answered all together. The king exclaimed, "What beautiful land you have, my dear Marquis." The miller's son, who was increasingly enjoying the role of a rich marquis, only managed to utter, "Oh yes, sire." In the meantime, the cat arrived at the rich ogre's castle. With feline dexterity, he jumped over the stone wall and got into the castle. The ogre was sitting at a huge table, groaning with all kinds of foods. He nearly choked at the sight of a cat in boots. "What are you doing here?" "I could not pass near your castle without having the honor of paying my respects to you," the cat answered. "They say that you are able to change yourself into any kind of creature that you have a mind to, even a bigger one too. You can, for example, transform yourself into a lion or the like, but quite frankly, I find it hard to believe." "How dare you?" roared the ogre in rage, and in one blink he transformed into a giant lion with a shaggy mane. The cat's heart sank into his boots, but he collected himself and said, "I have further been told," he said, "that you can also transform yourself into the smallest of animals, for example, a rat or a mouse. But I can scarcely believe that. I must admit to you that I think that would be quite impossible." Insulted, the lion gave a furious roar and disappeared the same instant. And where he had been standing, a tiny little mouse appeared. As soon as the cat saw this, he fell upon him and ate him up. At this very moment, the royal carriage drove through the gates of the castle. The cat rushed to meet the guests. "Your Majesty is welcome to this castle of my Lord Marquis of Carabas." Hard to say who was more surprised to hear that, the king or the miller's son, who had long had no clue of what was happening. "What an excellent castle," said the king in delight. "I'm delighted to call you my loyal friend, my dear Marquis." "Well, yes, sire," bewildered, the miller's son could just answer. "May I invite you to dine with us?" said the cat, and led the guests to a spacious hall where a magnificent dinner was served on a huge table. The king ate to his heart's content, and then he said, "Well, my dear Marquis, I can see that you are a man of great worth. I should be blessed to have you as my son-in-law." The princess clapped her hands in happiness. Young, handsome, and wealthy at that, the Marquis couldn't but steal her heart completely. So that was how the miller's son married to the princess and became a prince. They lived long and happily ever after, especially the cat, who became a great lord and henceforth preyed on mice solely for fun. And if they sometimes asked the miller's son how he managed to achieve such success, he would just say, "Well, you'd better ask my cat." Book all done. Wow, that was such a fun story, wasn't it? And what a unique way to read a book, looking at the shadows instead of looking at the actual pages of the book. I thought it was a lot of fun. And what did you think about the story? Wow, that was really unique. I did not see that cunning in that cat. He really knew what he was doing, and he really helped out his master in the end, didn't he? What was your favorite part of the story? My favorite part was probably when the ogre was tricked by the cat and he turned into a mouse and then the cat ate him up. You know, I didn't see that coming at all. That was a big surprise, so that was pretty funny. I wanted to give you one more note, just so that you know, in case you wanted to buy a book like this, that there are a few things that you get. You get this long book, and it's got all these die cut pictures, and you can set it up wherever you want, and then you shine a flashlight through it, and then you can move the flashlight to go along with the different sequences in the story. And then you also receive this little puppet, and it's a little puppet of the cat. And you know, somebody can hold this while somebody holds the flashlight, and then you know, whoever wants to read the book can do that. You can take turns, or you can even have the audiobook play it while somebody does the flashlight and somebody else does the little puppet. It's a lot of fun, and I like how it's so versatile so that you can take turns and you can make it different each time. I hope that you enjoyed this book, guys, and I hope that you have a great night. Thank you so much for joining me. Bye. Hi, parents. If your little one loves my videos, then please be sure to click the big red subscribe button so you can be notified when I have a brand new video. Okay, see you soon. Bye-bye.